The essence of this question is, when rebirth takes place in one of those Devalokas or heavens, if they have no opportunities to accrue more merits for their future life, and what would be the fate or what will happen to them, then how can they shape up or cultivate their way of life in order to find out or to attain nirvanic bliss? This is the question. There are many things for us to discuss regarding this question. The belief that people had long ago, even before Buddhism come into existence, especially in India, but not in many other parts of the world, even in China. I remember when somebody asked this question, Confucius, what he has said. Somebody asked whether there will be another life hereafter. Then he has said, still we cannot understand what this life is. Then how can we understand about the next life? That means they did not maintain such belief at that time that there will be another life hereafter. In the Middle East, when you study their belief, why they wanted to erect pyramid and preserve some dead bodies as mummies. Some are, I think, nearly 3,000 years old. The main idea was the kings or the emperors, after their death, they wanted to preserve their dead bodies, thinking that their departed soul may come back one day and again get back their lost life. That is how this idea was originated. In India, people had this strong belief that hereafter, after our death, definitely there will be another life, not only one life, continuity. So, when the Buddha wanted to discuss this matter, he had no difficulty to convince people, because this is not a new belief in India. But he has given entirely a different interpretation, which other existing religious groups have not given. How rebirth take place and how long that life can exist and what will happen to that life and how this life process continue. He has given reasons and causes. The common belief is this: Buddhists and Hindus and Jainas and various other religious groups in India, when we perform some meritorious deeds, some good deeds, after our death, rebirth or existence can take place in one of the Deva Loka. So in English we have to use the word heaven. Not only one heaven, one of the heavens. Deva Loka. Then those who have developed their mind not only by performing meritorious deeds, but by cultivating their mind through their meditation. Now they had another belief. This heaven is only for those who want to enjoy, experience worldly pleasures. That's all. But worldly pleasures definitely create problems. It is true. Now we can understand why we are facing so many problems and difficulties and worries in this world. Because people are crazy for pleasure. Not only human beings. We can see how animals and some other living beings fight and kill each other because of this pleasure. So the craze for worldly pleasure is the main cause of all our fear, insecurity, uncertainty, unhappiness, worries and disturbances. By knowing this situation, some others try to go beyond that level. That is through meditation or mental development. Meditation means mental development. By reducing craving for pleasure, not by increasing. So when we do that, we reduce certain degrees, not completely. Then rebirth can take place in one of those Brahma realms, not in Deva or heavenly realms. And there they can experience more peace, calmness, tranquility in their life, so they can relax. But in Deva Loka and human world, we experience excitement, fear, and unhappiness. Although we gain many things, still we experience some sort of unhappiness. But those Brahmas are free from this excitement and fear, because they have reduced craving for pleasure, but still remain there certain degrees. Then another group, this is the way how they have developed. Through their jhana meditation, they have discovered 8 stages for their meditation. They have done all these things before the Buddha's coming to this world in India. And the names called Pathama-jhana, Dutya-jhana, Tatya-jhana, Chatutta-jhana, 4 stages or the development of our mind according to our meditation, then all these jhanas are bound to mundane world. Then again develop further. Akasananchayatana, Vijnananchayatana, Akinchanyayatana, Neva Sanya Na Sanyayatana. These are the names of these states, mental states. It depends how we maintain our mental attitude at that particular stage when we develop our mind. The names were given. You can remember when Prince Siddhartha or the Buddha was born, his father, King Suddhodana, invited some rishis, religious head in India at that time. And they were advanced in meditations, and they have developed all these jhana meditations. Having seen and observing characteristics and certain indications, physical features of this baby. So, different rishis or yogis predicted that so and so can become either a great world religious teacher, if not a universal monarch, ruler of the world, is such a powerful human being. But one particular rishi pointed out that this person never become a worldly man to rule the world. He become a religious man, having seen certain indications in his body. Then elders in this group who has developed all this jhana meditation, he expressed his happiness with cheerfulness, and he laughed with happiness. After laughing, he started to cry. Then the Buddha's father could not understand why he laughed at the beginning and cried in the end. Then he asked whether any misfortune, according to astrology or planetary systems, or some sort of bad, evil influence. Then he said, no. First, I laughed to express my happiness, because I knew that this child definitely become a great religious teacher in this country, so I'm very happy about that. Later, I found out when he gained this wisdom or enlightenment or the Buddhahood, I won't be here in this world. Because he was very old at that time. So I won't be benefited. That is why I cried. And he knew after his death, rebirth take place in one of the Brahma realm. So he had no chance to do anything. He had to spent there for a long period. That is why he cried. This is the nature of this meditation. When Prince Siddhartha was a young man, he wanted to study all these methods, meditation, religious practices and belief and traditions and everything he studied under different religious teachers. But he found out, still no one has discovered the way to nirvana. They have discovered the way to heaven. They have discovered the way to Brahma world. But no one has discovered the way to Nibbana. That is why he had to work very hard. Those who accumulate merits by doing a lot of good deeds, some services to others, accrued lot of merits. So by the virtues of this merit, definitely they get the chance to be born in one of those Devaloka or heaven. They think that is their final goal. That is a misconception from the Buddhist point of view. Now all those religions that preach heaven is the final goal, ultimate eternal bliss, are under this impression. Buddhism cannot accommodate this belief that heaven is the final goal. But Buddhism never denies the existence of heaven, not only one, there are many. So there is no contradiction amongst those existing religions and Buddhism. Now, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism and every religion talk about heaven. Yes, Buddhism also talk about heaven. To others, heaven is the final goal. So they think they can settle down there forever without any changes. Buddhism says no, it is impossible. No doubt we can spend thousands or millions or billions of years. Still, under the worldly conditions, if anything that which exists under worldly conditions is subject to change and decay and disintegrate. This is the interpretation given by the Buddha. Now then, many of those Brahmins and Hindus and different religious groups who maintain that heaven is not their final goal, must go further. That is Brahma world. So develop their mind through meditation to have a better rebirth in Brahma world. And they believe this is the final goal. They think that they can settle down without any changes. That is why Hinduism says union with Brahma, final goal. Brahma is the creator in Brahma world. Union, join with him. Just like Christians and others say, to be with Lord. To them it is final goal. To Hindus, Brahma world is the final goal. So they have discovered their religious way of life up to that level at that time. The Buddha has accepted. He did not reject or condemn. He accepted. Yes, it is true. By performing meritorious deeds, definitely you can have better rebirth in heaven or Devaloka. But that is not the final goal. The Buddha added only that much. By cultivating your mind through meditation, jhana, you can have better rebirth in Brahma world, can have a peaceful life for a long period. But that is not the final goal. He added only that much. Then he continued from there. This is the important point that many Buddhists and others have not yet realized. Because they believe the final goal, ultimate aim is heaven, if not Brahma world. So the Buddha is the only religious teacher who discovered, analyzed and explained all these places where life or existence take place. It is impossible to find out eternal life, unchangeable. Just to satisfy our craving, because we need, we like it, we crave for that, then we accept, yes, we like it. Immortality, this word, immortality, very loosely they accept, thinking that they can exist there forever without facing old age, sicknesses and death. The Buddha says it is an illusion, because there is no such place. But we don't like it. We don't like the Buddha's interpretation. Why we don't like it? The Buddha's interpretation does not entertain our craving. Our craving needs something to remain forever as life, or whatever name that we give. To understand this, we have to analyze. Now the question is, by the virtues of our good merits, assume we could manage to gain heavenly bliss, to experience more sensual pleasure or worldly satisfaction, better than human beings. It is true. Take for instance, human beings suffer more than devas. During the childbirth, of course, father had to suffer mentally, poor mother. It's a big burden to the father, but no pain. Mother and the baby, both of them had to suffer. No one can explain what sort of pain and suffering. Then, to bring up this child, father and mother both had to suffer. We haven't got enough words, enough vocabulary to explain what kind of burden, responsibilities, suffering, pains they had to face. because of their babies. But they don't give up hope. They have a strong attachment and craving. These two things overcome, eclipse all the other sufferings. They are willing to suffer for the sake of children. But suffering is there. But devas are free from this problem. Now see the difference now. In Deva Loka or heaven, those female devas won't give birth like human beings. Life exists, life appears. That is called a spontaneous existence. We cannot understand. Because of that, we don't accept or we don't believe. We cannot, how can be that? Because we do not know. There are many things that we cannot understand. A spontaneous existence takes place in certain world system without giving birth. And see, they are free from this. Then, as human beings, the formations of our physical body, combinations of elements and energies in our physical body create enormous problems, sicknesses, imbalance, elements and energies, friction, clashes inside, indicate as sicknesses, pain. Devas are free from this. Because the combinations of their elements and physical body is not like ours. That is why people are crazy to go to heaven. Again, we had to suffer from old age. When we attain that age, the most miserable part in our life. Our existence is burden to ourselves as well as to others. Real nuisance to everybody. Old age. Suffering. Devas are free from that. No old age there. They exist as they appear. That's all. Then, in spite of various sufferings, problems, troubles, calamities, still we like to live. That means we don't like to die. Bedridden for so many years. Cannot get up, cannot eat, cannot sleep, cannot do anything. But still we don't want to die. See how strong our craving for existence. So we suffer from fear of death. I have told you, actually death does not create very much suffering. But the fear we have created in our mind earlier creates suffering. People say, we don't like to die. That fear. But devas are free from this. It does not mean that they don't die. Their life is just like a flame of a candle or an oil lamp. That flame remains as long as oil and the wicks or the wax or the wicks remain. Same flame. When there are no more oil or wax or wicks, that flame disappears. Then we do not know where it has gone. So the Deva's life is exactly like that flame. Disappear. That is called death. And after their death, there is no dead body, either to bury or to cremate. But that life is not permanent, already disappeared. Now this question is, after spending that type of life for a long time, then after their death, what will happen to them? Because I told you, Buddhism cannot accept the belief that the life is eternal or permanent there. Death must take place. If death takes place, then there must be another existence, because they have not eradicated craving for existence. We exist in any part of the universe due to three forces, three kinds of craving. As long as one of these cravings remains in our mind, whether we believe or not, we cannot stop existence. Belief is not important. So what are those three? Craving for existence, craving for survival. See how strong craving for existence. We are willing to massacre millions of others, destroy others for our survival. We can do any cruel, dangerous thing for our survival. We can destroy all the other living beings in this world for our living. Why do we want to do such thing? Craving for existence. See how strong it is. Next one. Worse than that. Craving for pleasure. So we want to indulge, entertain all the five senses and the mind, six altogether. So every minute we are thinking how to gain some sort of satisfaction, indulgence, or how to entertain our senses. To entertain our senses, we adopt certain method, we do something. And that something which we do to entertain our senses can be very dangerous, very unjustifiable, unreasonable, immoral, wicked thing. But we want to enjoy. Now it is happening. For our own satisfaction, we do certain things which create enormous suffering. Disturbances. Others had to suffer because of our craving for indulgence or pleasure. Now we can understand why we are facing so many problems in this world. These two things. We always complain, there is no peace in our mind. We have no peace because of these two cravings in our mind. The very day when we withdraw these two things from our mind, we never complain or no peace in our mind. Because there is no reason. Then there is another one. It is also intrinsic or natural craving. Even modern psychology also explains these three things. When you refer to Sigmund Freud, you can see libido and self-preservation and suicide instinct. Exactly same thing, but nearer to the Buddha but not completed. Halfway. They have reached only halfway but not completed. The Buddha has completed. Libido, more inclined toward the sexual side. They have discovered only that much. The Buddha says sensual pleasure, not only sexual, but among those pleasures, living beings can go mad when they were influenced or addicted. Sexual urge is stronger than any other forms of craving. Because of this, or to satisfy this, they can kill others. This is the danger of sexual urge. Psychologists take only this much as the strongest one. Then the next one, self-preservation, that means Buddha used the word craving for existence, craving for survival. We can do any wicked thing for our living. Whenever we ask some people, why do you want to do such bad things? You say, for our living. But it is not an excuse. Living for what? For what purpose? Now you want to live by disturbing others. Right. You can live by disturbing others. Then what is the purpose of your living? To disturb more and more people. That's all. There must be an aim in our life. Then the last one, psychologists say, suicide instinct. The Buddhism says, vibhava tanha, craving that we maintain in our mind not to exist. There are many. Now you can see, I don't want to have another rebirth after my death. Having seen, experienced so many problems and difficulties in your life, you say, I don't like to have another life. This is more than enough. That is called suicide instinct. But your belief is wrong. You have not prepared to stop your rebirth. Just because you cannot satisfy with this life, you say, I don't like to have another life. Can you stop that? That is an illusion. Many others, it is due to their unsatisfied craving. when they could not gain what they wanted, decide to commit suicide, thinking that they can get rid of this problem. But they cannot think beyond that. That they are going to depart from this world with polluted mind, not with pure mind. If we die with polluted mind, our next existence cannot be a favorable state, can become a miserable one. We never realize this. So committing suicide is not the solution to get rid of our worries and problems. We invite more in the next existence. Now we can understand why we are suffering. It is due to our ignorance we always blame God or devils or some others, because we cannot understand, analyze who create all these problems. Created by our own craving. Craving for existence, craving for pleasure, especially these two things. And Devaloka, they too have craving for existence. But the formations of their life is such, they have no facilities to cultivate further and further, to accumulate more merit, to continue their life without facing shortcomings or disturbances. That is their weakness. That is what these Christians try to convey. Animals have no chances because they are completely ignorant. They cannot mold their future life. Devas cannot add more and more merits into their way of life. That is the nature of their life. That is the very reason why the Buddha says human beings are more fortunate. By realizing this, while spending what we have earned, accumulated by doing some good deeds or merit, we are also going on accumulating. Spend and accumulate, spend and accumulate every day. But others cannot do this. Others are going on spending everything what they have accumulated. After that they do not know what will happen to them. And we have that mind to understand. Then, let me clarify this. Although they have spent the merits they have accumulated to be born as Deva, but in their storehouse of consciousness there are so many other kinds of merits that they have accumulated earlier. Animals also have. Devas, ghosts, a spirit, Brahmas, human beings, say wicked human beings who are committing sins throughout their life. If there is anyone who can analyze their storehouse of consciousness, submerge, they cannot make use of them, eclipse through the other activities. By doing more and more bad things, they have not given a chance for their good karma to proceed. So those devas, after their death, rebirth again take place due to one of the good karmas or bad karmas which were accumulated in their subconscious or the collective consciousness or the storehouse of consciousness. There is no guarantee. Whether they can go back to same Devaloka after their death, no guarantee. Whether they become human beings or animals, also no guarantee. It depends on the gravity or the degree of their karma which were accumulated in the subconscious mind. The Buddha, before he has become a human being, in his previous birth, he was in one of these Devaloka. He spent peaceful life after fulfilling all the perfections, virtues, good qualities and cultivations of his mind. Everything is ready now. But he was waiting for the time. Time factor is very important. Then he had to become a human being in order to become a Buddha, because a God or Deva cannot become a Buddha. There must be human mind to cultivate. Since he had accumulated so much merits and cultivated his life, he had no difficulty. But many others, no guarantee. Then he asked, then how can they find out their ultimate aim or final goal or Nibbana? Yes, as Devas, it is not easy. It is very difficult. But when rebirth takes place as human beings, then they get the chance to cultivate their mind and eradicate their weaknesses or the defilements from their mind. So one day they will be able to attain Nibbanic bliss. This is the direct answer to this question. Now there is another aspect. I think you have heard. There are 4 stages for us to attain on the way to Nibbana. Mental purification. Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahanta. These are the 4 stages. First stage, we had to eradicate 3 kinds of human weaknesses, purify the mind from these 3, then we attain the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna. If that person could not develop further, what will happen? Rebirth take place again. But cannot go more than 7 times. Rebirth can take place only 7 times. Why? By attaining first stage of sainthood, this person has reduced a strong craving forces that which continue this for a long period. Therefore, the speed cannot continue more than 7 times. Before that, that person gets the chance to attain Nibbana. Now the second stage, Sakadagami. If that person could not develop further, then after his or her death, rebirth, existence again take place only once. Because this person has cut down more and more craving for existence. No energy, doesn't want, no more craving to have another one. Only once. In the next life must attain Nibbana bliss. Then the third one, Anagami. Reduce more and more human weaknesses, defilements, craving, attachments, and many things. One more step. If that person could not gain that, after his or her death, rebirth never take place in any of these mundane worlds as human beings or devas, because they are under mundane world. Because they have no craving for pleasure, they are not interested. Then among those 16 Brahma worlds, there are 5 stages known as Suddhavasa. Suddha means pure. Suddhavasa, pure abode. 5 places, and those places are ready for such person to exist after their death, where they can experience complete peace, satisfaction in their life, but not permanent. And this is the origin of how this concept of Sukhavati, pure land, according to Mahayana schools of Buddhism, Sukhavati or pure land, if not the Buddha land, was originated because of this. Those who have developed up to the 3rd stage of sainthood within this lifetime, and rebirth take place in that particular pure abode, Suddhavasa. Later, Mahayana school developed this further and further and further, and in the end introduced as Buddha land. But originated from there. So, they spend there for a certain period, and the remaining mental defilements they eradicate from there. Then attain Nibbana, but never come down to any other part of the universe. So, Brahmas, higher than Devas, also subject to Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. 3 universal characteristics. Devas also subject to these 3. Humans and animals and all the other living beings also subject. Anything that which exists in any part of the universe is subject to Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. 3 universal characteristics. So what are those 3? Anicca, everything is going on changing, no one can stop it. Yeah, it is true. Dukkha, in everything that which exists, you can see friction, otherwise no existence. This is scientific interpretation. The Buddha has given these scientific interpretations earlier. Whether humans or animals or devas or Brahmas, friction. The last one is called anatta. This is another big controversial subject amongst various religious groups. All the other existing religions in this world join together and maintain the same belief. Now let us take Hinduism and all the other existing religions in India at that time. Jainism, another well-known religion in India. Christianity, Judaism, Islam. All these religions very strongly believe that there is something as permanent entity, substance, that which remains somewhere without changing. For that they give different names. Their own names they give. Buddhism alone stand without joining this group. Buddhism can join with them about heaven and hell and Brahma world and various other aspects. But when we come to this particular subject, only Buddhism stands alone. All the other religions join together. They say, yes, there is something that which exists as permanent entity. The Buddha used the word anatta, unsubstantial. His argument is, if there is anything to remain in any part of the world, whether it is in this world or heaven or Brahma world or any part of the universe, that cannot be a permanent one. Subject to one of these, no, not one of these, three characteristics. But we don't like it. We want something. We want something to remain without change. To understand this, you have to study, analyze, think unbiasedly. By reducing our craving, when we reduce this craving, then we can understand, yes, it is true. But as long as we maintain this craving in our mind, we never appreciate the Buddha's interpretation. We like the other interpretation. When they say there is something to remain as permanent entity, you say yes, it is good. That is what we want. Your craving is behind. So, I think I have covered up how could a person attain Nibbana when the next rebirth would not provide opportunity for him to further cultivate in his mind, even though his present life is virtuous. Yes, I have told you, whether devas or brahmas or humans or any other forms of living being, the life process or the continuity of life remain as long as craving exists. Having seen or through their understanding the real nature or the uncertainty. I can give an example for you to understand the uncertainty in our life. So what guarantee is there? Although we are here in this world as human beings, all our five senses are working normal. Our minds also normal. Therefore we are very fortunate. We compare with others. Amongst those millions all over the world who are very unfortunate. They haven't got all these five senses and the sound mind. So it clearly shows that we have accumulated enough good merits to be born as human beings, not to suffer too much. We have natural suffering. But this sufferings also we can reduce by reducing our craving and craving and craving. We suffer because of our craving. Then what guarantee is there that we can continue the same life in the next birth? We can get back the same five senses, same sound mind, same human figure, or to have better rebirth in a certain countries where the environment, situation, way of life and things are favorable. If rebirth take place in certain countries like Ethiopia, what would be the situation? This is the uncertainty. Then we are spending every minute enjoying our life. All the good merits that we have done during our previous birth and early part of our life. What we have done earlier, say about few days ago, few months or few years ago, we are spending the merits, the result of such merit. Then, as long as we accumulate these good merits, we can continue this life smoothly. Then, can you guarantee that life after life you can accrue the merits? What will happen to you when your merit banks is exhausted? No more account in your merit banks. Because you went on spending without depositing. What will happen to you? This is the warning that the Buddha has given to us. Remember the uncertainty in your life. Changes can take place at any moment. No doubt you are good, because there are more wicked, harmful, uncultured people in this world. When I compare them with you, you are very good people. Yes, but at any moment, changes can take place in your mind. You have heard, you have learned religion. You have sound knowledge about your religion. You know what is right and what is bad. Even then, when temptation arouses your mind, at that time you lose your controlling power. You cannot control yourself. This is the uncertainty of your mind. And this situation remains until we attain that higher stage of sainthood. Mental uncertainty. Changes can take place in our mind. Temptation. Even a pious Buddhist who observe 8 precepts, who meditate every day, can bluff and swindle others. This is the nature of human mind. because of that temptation. On the other hand, when disturbances take place, at the moment your anger, your jealousy, your grudge and all those things you are keeping under control without allowing them to flare up. But all are there at the bottom, remains as sediments in a glass of water. When this glass shakes a little bit, you can see how all the sediments come up. In the same manner, when somebody disturbs you, accuses you, you can see how your hidden anger or hatred come up. At that time, you do not know how you are going to behave. You lose your sense of reasoning. You cannot use reasoning at that time. Under the influence of that anger or jealousy or grudge, you may kill, burn, but you are a very devout Buddhist. You meditate, you observe the precept. Later, you regret, what a pity. I could not control my mind. Actually, I cannot understand how I did that. Now you are using your sense of reasoning. So the advice given by the Buddha, as I told you so many times, let me repeat. When you are in anger or under the influence of any evil forces in your mind, remember, your mind is just like a boiling water pot. Bubbles you can see when the water is boiling. So when you peep, you cannot see your face there in that, because the water is boiling. So in the same manner, when your mind is intoxicated with one of these evil forces, you cannot use your common sense, your reasonings and your knowledge, your religious knowledge, cannot. Eclipse. Again, when the water is no more boiling, cool down, you go and peep and we can see your beautiful face there. That means your mind is calm and no more anger, jealousy, grudge and evil forces at that time in your mind. This is the nature of our mind. So even in the case of the Buddha, during his previous birth, man who had been working, struggling to be good, to be virtuous, to gain more knowledge and wisdom, maintain purity, occasionally, under the influence of this temptation and disturbances, he has done a lot of mistakes, bad things, because he was not the Buddha at that time. But after becoming a Buddha, he explained to his disciple, do you know, during my previous birth, I was born as so and so, so and so. I was under the influence, I had done this mistake and I had to suffer. And rebirth has taken place as animals because of that bad action. But again, I could manage to come back. So if his life is like that, what about us? Because we have not cultivated, we have not developed our mind up to that level yet. So this forever we had to struggle to accumulate merits and merits and merits and merit. Any moment when you forget to accumulate enough merit, then we get into trouble. Then we are at the end of this. No end. Therefore, the Buddha said, existence does not create happiness. Never. Existence creates enormous suffering, physically and mentally. It is a battle. Every second we are fighting with certain evil forces which come against us, to attack us, to kill us, to destroy us. Not only from outside, internal. But we are fighting. It is a losing battle. One day we have to surrender. Then he says, why not you try to stop this? By realizing the uncertainty and the danger and the sufferings and difficulties, why not you try to stop this circle going round and round and round? Then you will be free from all those things that you are struggling to stop. Now you want to stop old age, you never succeed. You want to stop sickness, you never succeed. You want to stop your death, you never succeed. You want to become very rich, very difficult for you to succeed. You want to have peace and happiness in your life, very difficult. You like to have peace at home, you cannot. Everything goes against your wish. This is the nature of existence. So it is a big battle. And if you stop this circle, then there is nothing for you to fight, to get rid of all these problems. So whether we are humans or devas or brahmas or any other forms of living being, all are subject to this universal law of three things. Anicca, dukkha, anatta. That is what the Buddha has discovered. Akasattha Bhummattha Devanaga Mahiddhika Punyantang Anumoditva Jirang Rakkantu Lokasasanang Devo Vasatu Kalena Sassa Sampatti Tucce Pito Bhavatu Loko Ce Raja Bhavatu Dhammiko Idango Nyati Nanghotu Sukita Huntu Nyatayo Imina Punya Kammena Mami Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yava Nibbana Pattiya.